everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video I am challenging myself to create something cute out of leftover pieces of fabric. So here are my leftover pieces. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller, but all of them are leftover pieces from other projects or DIYs that I filmed. If you don't have scrap fabric at home, you could also use some old t-shirts or jeans or I don't know, a bed sheet. The one thing that we have now is time, so let's use this opportunity to create something nice and wearable for the summer. Okay, let's go.
For the first DIY, you'll need some black stretchy fabric. I am using this lightweight knitted fabric that I bought to make this square neck top. If you are interested, I'm going to link all of the DIYs I will be mentioning here down in the description box. You'll then need some kind of mesh fabric, and I'm going to use this black dotted fabric that I got left over from my DIY puffed sleeve video. The first thing that I'm going to do is to fold the fabric in half, cut it, and then fold each part in half again to create 4 rectangles. These do look pretty small, I have to admit, but since the fabric is stretchy, I think they are gonna fit fine. You'll need 2 pieces for the front of the top and 2 pieces for the back. From this weirdly shaped fabric, I am first going to cut out a rectangle, then cut it in half to create 2 long strips of fabric. And since the straps are meant to be tied in a bow on your shoulder, you'll need to cut these in half once again. Now take 1 piece of fabric and place the straps like I did here, then place the other rectangle on top, pin and sew along this side. Cut off the excess fabric, and this is how your top should look like by now. This is the front of the top, and now you need to repeat the same thing for the back. Then you'll have 2 identical pieces like I have here. To sew them together, you'll need to open 1 piece like this and place it with the straps facing out. Place the straps in the middle so that they won't get in your way when sewing. Then place the other piece on top facing down. Pin the sides and sew them using a zigzag stitch. The last step would be to hem your top by folding the edges inwards. I was pretty nervous about my next DIY, mainly because it is a strapless top, but you'll see what I mean in a minute. This is a canvas fabric that obviously didn't wash well, and I bought it to make a indoor swing for my son. I haven't posted this DIY on my YouTube channel, but you can find it on my Instagram if you are interested. So here I am just trying to sew the pieces together to create a larger piece of fabric that I can work with. I'm going to use this beige cotton fabric to create the lining, and I'm going to make the lining smaller than the actual piece of fabric for the top. Since the top is not very fitted, you might be able to see the fabric on the inside, and to avoid that, you can either double the fabric if you have enough, so make the lining from the same fabric as the front of the top, or you can make a smaller lining like I am doing here. Pin and sew along one side. Then align your other side with the lining and sew using a straight stitch. Turn everything right side out. Then iron your fabric, making sure that the lining part is in the middle. Then hem the ends of your fabric by folding the edges inwards, pinning them and sewing them using a straight stitch. Next we are going to gather the fabric, but before that you'll need to make a mark where you want the gathering to be placed. Use a long stitch length and sew along the fabric, making sure that you don't backstitch at any point. Then lightly pull on one thread and gather the fabric as much as you like. Out of a longer piece of the same canvas fabric, I am going to create some kind of band to sew right over the part where the fabric was gathered. So pin it in place and sew it using a straight stitch. Even though the fabric that I've used is pretty stiff, it keeps falling down, and this is what I meant when I've said that I am pretty nervous about this DIY, but I figured out how to make it work. I found this wire and I decided to pull it through the fabric and sew it in place at the ends. And now I will be able to place the pleats of the fabric and arrange everything as nicely and neatly as I wanted it. For the third DIY, you'll need some kind of silky fabric and a top that fits you nicely to create a pattern. I'm using a stretchy top since my fabric is also stretchy, but of course if you are using a non-stretchy satin, for example, you will also need to use a non-stretchy top as your pattern. I traced the back and the front of my top and I made the top part a bit higher. I just drew a straight line across. I've then hemmed the underarm seams. Of course, if you have enough fabric, you can make this top as we did the first one, so you can double up the fabric. But this time I am mainly focusing on how to create something out of smaller pieces of fabric. Here I'm creating the straps for my top. I'm just taking a longer strip of fabric, folding it in half and sewing along the edge using a straight stitch. Then I'm using my tube turner tool to turn my straps right side out. Then fold the top of your neckline inwards and pin the straps in place. Sew along the neckline using a straight stitch. Do the same thing for the back. Attach the straps and sew using a straight stitch. Place the two pieces right sides facing each other and pin them along the sides. I've sewn them using a zigzag stitch since my fabric is stretchy. And the last step will be to hem the bottom of your top. And this is the finished top. I hope you enjoyed today's video and that it inspired you to create something out of your leftover pieces of fabric or out of clothes that you no longer wear. Thank you for watching and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!